welcome to Coronavirus The Rundown. I'm Usher Qureshi. Each day we showcase how American communities are taking on the coronavirus. We also break down the headlines. Today, Alicia Nieves looks at new transparency in federal aid programs.
The federal government has been pushing out trillions of dollars to try and stabilize the U.S. economy.
The biggest bailout in U.S. history deserves the most transparency in U.S. history.
For weeks now, watchdog groups like the U.S. Public Interest Research Group have been calling for real-time transparency. And now, at least one federal authority, the Federal Reserve, says it will answer that call. On a monthly basis, the Fed plans to begin publishing the names of those corporations receiving assistance under its emergency programs.
Honestly, it was pretty incredible that the Federal Reserve agreed to this level of disclosure. I'm hoping that that level of transparency will be carried forward to all the agencies in the CARES Act.
The Fed's move comes amid growing concerns around the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program. A week ago, reports revealed at least a handful of large publicly traded companies had received PPP loans intended for smaller businesses. The fast food chain Shake Shack was one of them and was one of the first to return the money, $10 million in its case. But a data analytics company, FactSquared, went through Security and Exchange Commission filings. It found more large companies received PPP loans than initially thought.
It had nothing to do with them disclosing, so to speak, with the SBA or anything else. It was just going through another agency where they had to disclose to investors that we're taking this money. And that's how we pick it up.
FactSquared found at least $900 million in forgivable small business loans went to more than 200 major companies like the Los Angeles Lakers and even a luxury hotel chain. The hotel chain was able to treat each of its hotels as an individual business and applied for 117 loans, getting at least $40 million so far. The hotel chain says it plans to actually keep the funds, while the Lakers and more than a dozen other businesses have committed to returning more than $116 million in PPP loan money.
The fact that some companies saying, sorry, our bad, and that gets back to the purpose of transparency and why this type of information should be released.
It doesn't do us any good 3 months down the line to have found out this list of companies. That money would have already been spent. It's because this transparency happened so quickly that we're able to course correct. Those companies can give that money back, and the Treasury can readjust its rules moving forward. So that way this money actually helps those that it was intended to help.
The SBA has not yet agreed to release the names and other information around companies receiving PPP loan money. However, the Treasury Department has now come out saying that any company that got more than $2 million in PPP loans, well, they will be fully audited, adding, though, that companies have until May 7th to return the money to avoid that. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
America's economy shrank in the first quarter for the first time in almost 6 years. It contracted at a 4.8% annual rate from January through March. That's the biggest one-quarter drop since the end of 2008. The new data shows gross domestic product dropped in Q1 for the first time since 2014. GDP is expected to drop even more in the second quarter, April through June. A major shopping mall chain will start reopening its malls this weekend, according to internal documents. Simon plans to open 49 malls in 10 states between Friday and Monday. They'll be open limited hours. Simon says it'll take customers' temperatures and provide free testing, masks, and hand sanitizer. Several states are rolling out plans to open the economy again. Maya Rodriguez traveled to South Carolina and found reopening doesn't equal customers for area businesses.
Along the shoreline of Myrtle Beach, Darryl Kimry paints and waits.
It's very slow, it's troubling.
His store, Special Splash Airbrush, sits just across the street from the Myrtle Beach Boardwalk. South Carolina's governor recently allowed some non-essential businesses like this one to reopen. But despite that, customers are nowhere to be found.
I mean, you see the streets, there's nobody out here. Yeah.
Businesses in coastal communities that rely on beach tourism know they have a limited window where they can make enough money to get through the year. And now the coronavirus pandemic has narrowed that window even more.
So we have a very strong spring season that was decimated this year.
Karen Reardon is with the Chamber of Commerce here. She says last year, the Myrtle Beach area saw a record-breaking 20 million visitors. This year won't even come close.
It's going to be slow, and our business community, I think, is trying to be very patient and understand that.
Still, Reardon says they and other coastal communities may have reasons to be optimistic about the summer. Reasons backed up by data.
And research that tells us that the safest place people feel right now from a travel standpoint is their car. And we are 92% drive market. So the vast majority of the people who come to vacation in Myrtle Beach are coming via their car with their families.
But whether they feel safe enough to come out remains to be seen. More than a week after reopening, Daryl Kimry waits anxiously for anyone still willing to make the trek to the shore.
Support your local businesses. I mean, we're trying to make it. We're trying to make something of ourselves for everyone. We want to give out a good product. We can't do that without the people.
In Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
A lot of things are on the back burner during this time, but our children's health shouldn't be one of them. The World Health Organization says the pandemic is disrupting health services, and it's especially concerned about how it may be affecting children. The first thing pediatricians want you to know is to continue your children's doctor's appointments as usual. And if they're due for a vaccine soon, it's extremely important they stay on track. Even if a child does become infected with the disease, their symptoms will likely be less severe with a vaccine. And it's not just physical health we should be paying attention to. Doctors at the Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children say mental health is extremely important during this time.
Mental health is definitely an area that can be ignored or can be missed at this time, particularly with so many things going on, and particularly if parents themselves are going through their own issues of anxiety or depression resulting from this pandemic.
Parents are advised to talk with their children throughout all this to assess how they feel. Another thing to keep in mind is telemedicine. It's becoming even more common to use right now and can help continue social distancing practices. Well, people are doing what they can to get on track towards some normalcy. Our partners at Newsy asked a fashion designer about her path forward.
I'm Nancy Volpe Beringer, Philadelphia fashion designer and runner-up to Season 18 Project Runway. Living in Philadelphia, I can see firsthand the need for people to have masks. I see it every time if I walk out for my exercise, go to the food store. People need masks. I started out just making a few masks for friends and family, and now I'm making kits for the City of Philadelphia Mural Arts Program, Southeast by Southeast. They're providing masks for Children's Hospital. They're providing masks for firefighters. We're getting masks into the hands of those who are in stores. I want everyone to think of their mask as a badge of courage. Wear the mask. Show that you care about not only yourself, but about making other people safe. When life gets back to normal, or our new normal, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start hugging people. I can't wait to be able to hug my children, my friends, and my new grandbaby that's on the way. That's what I'm going to do, hug people.
Good thing to do. Well, one doctor says he has a device to make his office safer during coronavirus, while he believes this air purifier can filter out COVID-19 out of the air. And as the virus upends tradition for high school seniors, meet the group of close friends sharing a major achievement.
More information.
At one Louisiana high school, a close group of friends is sharing a major achievement. Abby Breidenbach introduces us to the co-valedictorians.
Yeah. Betty, boo, up it. Yeah.
It's the year of the TikTok, the year of the virtual celebration, and at North Vermilion High School, 2020 is the year of girl power.
We're all very dedicated and we're all hardworking.
They're all like pretty much my best friends. We've been best friends since we were like, I don't know, middle school mostly. I've known a lot of them since elementary school.
This group of 9.
Ashley Brindle, Caitlin Suchek,
Caroline Monso,
Claire Martin, Amanda LeBlanc, Kennedy Troff, Gabriella Byrne,
Caitlin Blanchard,
Taylor Chantavansi
are co-valedictorians for the North Vermilion class of 2020.
It's really cool that we get to do this together and like have this part, because we've all been kind of in like the 4.0 area our whole lives.
Most with the title don't get to share the valedictorian experience, but this group is grateful to be coming out on top as a team.
We all appreciate each other's friendship, and we know that if any of us need anything, we can all go to each other for anything. So funky.
And they're looking forward to seeing all they can become in the next chapter.
I feel like we're all going to go down some path that's going to make us successful, and it's going to be awesome.
The girls say they're holding out hope they'll be able to have some sort of celebration with their classmates in the next couple of months. The path to college is changing daily for graduating seniors. To help families stay on track, a college admissions consultant says one of the most important things is for students not to sit around and wait.
And the ones who can work on their leadership and creativity and develop some maturity and reflect on this time and what they can do are going to be the winners in this scenario.
The CEO of Going Ivy says you can still research schools, connect with college staff, and take advantage of learning opportunities online. And remember, schools are facing their own battle of trying to attract and retain students. As businesses start to reopen, one doctor says he has a device that could clear the air of coronavirus. He showed Kristen Edwards how it works.
Here's one right in our waiting room that we use.
ENT surgeon Dr. Daniel Mangiardo recently installed this air purification system in his Lexington office.
It may not be the silver bullet, but it certainly is pretty shiny.
He says it uses ionized hydrogen peroxide to kill bacteria and viruses on surfaces and in the air.
This is going to make our patients safer, but just as importantly, it's going to make patients feel safer because right now they're afraid to come to the doctor's office.
Mangiardo says it's been proven to kill flu viruses, strep, H1N1, and many other contaminants. But the jury is still out on the coronavirus.
To my knowledge, the coronavirus has not been tested yet with this system, but it does have an envelope just like the H1N1 has. So we do believe that it should work on the coronavirus like it does on the H1N1.
Right now, he has one unit in the waiting room, and he plans to get more for other spaces like the lab area, break room, and eventually exam rooms.
We are looking into putting one anywhere there's a possibility of contamination by touch.
Mangiardo says he was concerned about the safety of the system at first, but that was quickly alleviated.
Hydrogen peroxide at the levels that this thing puts out is very safe, and that has been studied for an extended period of time.
He's even planning to install one in his home and hopes they can be brought into schools as well.
People who are working remotely have learned how important it is to have a good chair. One tip is to find a chair that lets you sit in a neutral position.
And that's sort of with your hips bent at, about 90 to 100 degrees. Your feet really should be on the floor. If the chair's too tall, you need to put something under them. And you want to be able to sit, and ideally a nice chair that fits the curvature of your spine.
Now here are some don'ts. No slouching, avoid creeping into bad positions, and try to be aware of what position your neck is in. Dr. Curtin says the most important thing to remember is to get up and move during the day. Well, some sobriety meetings are moving from in-person to online. Kai Beach reports some believe the change caused a deadly relapse.
He was very big guy. He was 6'6" and just had this smile that just lit up a room. And
Genevieve Myers is mourning the loss of her brother, 43-year-old Sean Myers, who she says recently died from an accidental overdose.
I don't know what to feel a lot of the time.
Genevieve says Sean battled addiction for years. To help cope with his cravings, he would go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings almost daily. But when COVID-19 concerns caused those meetings to move from in-person to online, Genevieve says it stripped Sean of the community that helped him stay sober.
When this pandemic hit, it really took that away from him and took that support and that consistency away from him.
Known for its 12-step program, AA has been around for decades and has chapters across the world. Leaders say the group has strength in numbers.
I'm really worried about the people who are isolated.
Dr. Peter Luongo is a non-alcoholic trustee with AA. He says stay-at-home orders and social distancing has caused different communities to implement different rules and regulations for AA meetings.
This is a stressor that, leads to people reaching out, usually for help with AA, but it's more difficult now.
Luongo says though virtual meetings are available at all times, there's still a need for human interaction.
Alcoholics Anonymous realizes isolation is one of the most deadly aspects of living for people who have alcoholism.
There's got to be a way to figure out how to still have in-person meetings.
Genevieve is now working to make more in-person meetings more available.
And I think there just needs to be a little bit more attention on how to really figure that out, because if there's a will, there's a way, always.
And a will to save others' lives. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, visit AA.org. I'm Kai Beach reporting.
Athletes trying to qualify for the Olympics are trying to stay hopeful while they change their plans.
I was just so excited and ready for this year, but at the same time, I know it'll be better to have another year to train and get better.
While she's staying positive, there's a challenge her coach says other athletes could face.
Help us feed our neighbors in need.
Welcome back. The coronavirus has changed everything for so many people. Our Lindsay Boach spoke with an Olympic hopeful who's staying positive.
For 15-year-old Aislinn Barnett, swimming is in her blood.
My parents both swam back in high school and college and all that stuff, and so obviously I started swimming pretty early, I think when I was like 4 or 5.
But for the past few years, she's taken her training up a notch.
Probably the last year or two, I've kind of realized that it's something that could be in my range and I could just be able to do it. So I decided to make it a goal of mine and just work for it.
And it is the Olympics. She qualified in the 200-meter breaststroke for the Olympic trials that were supposed to be in Omaha this June, but now she'll have to wait until June of 2021.
I think it's a lot more time to improve, so I can do even better next year than I would have this year.
Aislinn's coach, Tom Bjork, says that's not always the case, though.
If you had a kid who just graduated college and was going to, a 22-year-old and was, planning on, took a job that starts in the fall and they were, a trials qualifier, this would have been a great situation to swim in 2020. For that older athlete, I think this is a new challenge.
But for most of his swimmers, this could be a good thing. The 1,200 swimmers who qualified for the Olympic trials will keep their spots for the trials next summer.
I think in Aislinn's case, she goes, hopefully, not just going to go, but going to really compete and hopefully make a big splash there.
I was just so excited and ready for this year, but at the same time, I know it'll be better to have another year to train and get better.
And hopefully improve her times to make the Olympic team. I'm Lindsay Boach reporting.
A teen girl helping her community from her front yard. The inspiration behind this free food pantry in New York State. This together. Welcome back. Each day we end the rundown with stories that remind us of the good going on all around us. Today it's the teen girl in New York State who set up a free food pantry in her front yard. Kiana Garner got the idea for this pantry when she saw a church doing it on the news.
Wake up, do homework and things, and then we'll check the weather to see if it's a good day to set out the pantry. Me and my mom have been blessed that we could give back to our community.
The pair says they let people take what they need anonymously. Well, that's all the time we have for today for the coronavirus, The Rundown. We'll see you next time. I'm Usher Qureshi. Thanks for joining us.